welcome to this week's Two Guys and Some Horror. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing a guest-picked film. So we'd like to welcome in right now Nick. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Cool. You're in from a colder state. We were just talking about the weather a little bit. You said it was 38 degrees?
32 degrees when I left Seattle.
And now we're in Arizona, and it is 79 outside.
The thermometers in Seattle actually don't go above 75, so I'm not sure what this is about. Right. Uncharted territory here.
Sweet. Well, you picked the film that you wanted to come on for, and the movie that you did pick was There's Nothing Out There.
That is correct.
Why'd you pick that?
So I've seen this movie several times since around when it first came out, and it's one of my favorite bad movies because the concept is solid gold. And the concept basically, in a lot of ways, is similar to Scream, which got so much publicity and it got so many views, and it's a beloved horror movie. This movie came out before that, and it also dealt with a lot of the same basic horror tropes. At one point, Mike, the main character who knows he's in a movie, looks at the camera and makes a joke about being in a movie. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, the movie's done so poorly that even though this concept is so great and would eventually make a great movie, Scream, it's just this weird juxtaposition, right? This idea that you can have an amazing concept and then just crap execution. It's like modern art in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It breaks the fourth wall a couple times too. And this movie, all the goofs, there are quite a few goofs. I think it doesn't matter. You can't even look at the goofs and think of them as mistakes with this film.
I would think it's unfair to call them goofs because when the guy swings on the boom mic, it's almost some of it is meant to be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, catching a reflection of a guy or whatever in a window, sure, that's a goof, fine, but let it go. It's
yeah.
I don't know.
You can't take this movie seriously.
No. It's kind of like, how smart do you think the director was?
Well, we know some information about our director and our writer because it's the same guy, right?
The Trauma guys.
It's Rolf Konefsky who got funded from Trauma.
Oh.
Yeah. But Trauma buys anything. So let's just start there. Okay, this is a Trauma film, yes. But Rolf wrote this in high school. He was still a senior in high school.
Right.
Wrote it when he was 18, and it took him 3 years to get an actual theatrical release. So even though it came out in 91, it's an 88 film. Mm-hmm. Could have even been shot as late as 87, late 87. So it's a total 80s flick. But I think it blends really well into the 90s. It has a lot of 90s themes to it as well, color schemes and whatnot. But yeah, how are you, Clark?
I'm doing well.
I didn't ask you. I feel bad.
Thanks, Curtis. It's nice to be recognized. I'm doing well. How are you, Curtis? You haven't checked in on yourself.
I haven't. No, I'm doing okay. I'm fine. My ear's all healed up, so that's good.
No, I'm proud of you, man. Healing is a very important task. So let's kind of. This movie's a lot of boobs.
There's an undercurrent of boobage.
There's a certain level of boobs you expect whenever there's a trauma picture, and I think they hit their quota just barely with this film.
Yeah, just in the lake scene alone.
Yeah, 100%. Just random boobs come in, random boobs leave.
Yeah, that's an entire section of the movie where I was talking to my wife about this after we had watched it for this podcast. About how it feels like they had filmed that scene with the intention of following up. Maybe those kids die. We call it the tadpole crotch monster.
The tadpole crotch monster.
That he killed them later. But it's like they ran out of funding or time to film that. But then it's you don't leave boobs on the cutting room floor. So there just continue to be these random boobs.
Yeah. I there's also a sequel to this. So There's Nothing Out There, and we can get into that later on, but there's a sequel, and there was even going to be a continuation directly of Mike's story, Mike and his friends, but they ended up, I believe Rolf ended up going a different direction because he wanted, either funding didn't work or Trauma didn't like the idea of the sequel or whatever ended up happening. But so to your point, maybe those punk kids are in that film sequel, and it doesn't follow Mike and his friends. I'll have to go look and dig now because
I'd
curious.
watch that.
I would watch it. Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know there was a sequel.
I didn't know.
How could you have a sequel to literally a movie that starts with more boobage than, I don't know, some of your best classic slashers?
I'm having a hard time finding it. I'm
Like
looking.
The Godfather.
I'm looking for the sequel.
It's like There's Something Missing, I think is what it's called, or something like that. It was in the fun facts on IMDb. I'll have to dig.
It may have been released straight to TV because I can't find it.
Or never released. It's
Yeah,
on a
like
cutting
a man
room floor
can
because
dream.
it had no boobs.
Yeah, they made the mistake of cutting.
All the boobs.
Those scenes.
Dang it.
Maybe they replaced them with other. Never mind. Bad jokes.
Let's get into the story.
Let's move. Yeah, let's move straight into the movie. We could talk more about the teenagers because I actually kind of want to.
So the movie opens up at a rental store. You've got a store clerk being chased by a masked assailant. She's going through so many nostalgic movie covers during the scene. You get The Evil Dead, The Mutilator, and Hell Night, just to name a few.
It was like a step out of my childhood when we would go to rent movies at the movie store. And to be honest, I think that that's a level of genius, right? Because this movie is about horror movies and it's about breaking that wall, right? So starting it there, so smart.
Yeah. I got to give Rolf credit for an 18-year-old. I think he wrote fairly well. The execution is where I think it lacked. And I mean, the budget alone was probably why it lacked. $300,000 is not a lot to do with.
Yeah, but this whole scene process, it was kind of they're reliving a certain trope that gets overplayed a lot in TV. It very rarely very rarely use kind of like flashback or it was only just a dream situations like this. And when they did it here, it was kind of like cheap. Just throw this in, kind of okay. Now I'm engaged as the viewer. I'm engaged now, but this is a cheap trick.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was definitely a way to, I think, try to hook you in real quick.
Yeah.
That first, 5 minutes of the movie or whatever, get your attention, and then, well, forget all of that, doesn't matter, and then move into the actual plot in the movie.
Right, because she's getting chased, and then it's spoilers.
She wakes up.
She's dreaming, and she just crashed the car.
Yeah, she was falling asleep at the wheel.
Right.
Sleep driving?
She was sleep driving.
I don't know how long that scene lasts, but that's a long time to
sleep
drive.
A dream can feel like hours or days, but really you could have been asleep for 15 minutes. If she was asleep for 30 seconds, that dream only lasted about 5.
I was under the impression that she slept walked and got into the car. I don't know why I was thinking this. And because she's in the car and she's like, I'm in my dad's car.
Yeah. And then she's like, and I crashed it. Like she goes through her process of going through and telling us what happened. We're like, no, lady, we know what happened.
That's why I thought she slept through it. It was like, I don't know. I just automatically, that's where my mind went. So if she fell asleep at the wheel, that also makes sense.
Yeah, it could have happened.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
When she wakes up after she's crashed, her eyes are crossed.
Oh, yeah.
And then she shakes her head to make them go straight. I was just thinking, man, if they knew what they were doing, they would have had that classic cartoon sound of a rock in a can.
Yeah, the rolling.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, but then what? So let's talk about what comes from the sky.
Oh my God, a falling cloud!
It was like a glowing, it was a 1980s special effects green light kind of flowing down and hits the water.
Yeah, falls down, splashes in, almost looks like a sponge. I don't think it's the actual creature at that point yet, the real creature prop. I think it's just something else that they threw in the water.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get that wet. You probably only have one of them. You can't ruin that on that budget. So
more than the person that created it already did.
Yeah.
What with its elephant nose hands?
Snuffleupagus hands?
Yeah, it was kind
of. They worked for me. I don't want that thing touching me.
It was pretty fast in certain scenes, right?
Yeah.
So weird looking.
The creature feature part of this, I mean, it was fine. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't want to drill too hard on that because I already feel like the budget doesn't do this film justice. It could have been way better.
It was a boglin. The monster was a boglin. Yeah. That's basically what it was.
Gross. Are you pulling a Trolls 2 reference on
No. Boglins were 1990s toys. They're these little monsters that came inside cages. They kind of looked a little goofy. He definitely looked like a deformed boglin.
Episode.
Right.
A boglin.
I
like
found
it.
that the monster's shape to be very interesting because it looks kind of like a triangle. I remember those guys.
Yeah, those things are horrific. The body of it, you were saying, looks like a triangle?
Yeah, so it's like it has no real body. It's like a face with a ton of teeth, and then it just tapers directly into the tail. So it's like the opposite of aerodynamic.
Well, it's not going to fly, that's for sure.
And it's got like weird elephant nose arms.
Yeah, I can't get over that enough. Other than, I understand we don't get any exposition about this creature, right? Nothing.
I'm okay with that.
But he has to suck face. Like, we know that creature has to suck face. That's all he's there for.
Yeah.
He's got to at least bite people.
I don't even know if he really. I guess he.
Why have all those teeth if he's not going to use them?
What?
He's melting and mushing them though to eat them, right? That's why he used what's his face.
Yeah.
So are you saying that the body of the monster doesn't match its behavior? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I thought he did eat someone in the film. I thought that was what happened in the very beginning because his mouth like shows up. He's on top of that girl in that scene, and then it moves on to the main characters in high school.
Yeah, but that girl pops out. Yeah,
but that doesn't make sense to me because it's just I don't know what happened.
He was procreating. Remember, we'll get there.
It was procreating. Yeah, exactly. That was kind of
maybe he's sperm shaped.
This monster. Yeah, he did look like a sperm though. He had the sperm with arms.
There's a lot of subtle imagery that this movie is putting out in such a short period of time. Because this is seriously just the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
And we've got our really awesome TV show intro to the film. Mm-hmm. We've got a creature coming out and wrapping its weird elephant tusk or elephant snout around the car, attacking the girl, and then we actually finally get to our main characters, Mike, Doreen, Jim, and all them.
Yeah.
That's insane. And we've already got, I don't know, we were talking about the weird sperm-looking
We're just
creature.
talking about the monster, and it has like weird abilities that come out of nowhere. It has like hypnotism rays that come out of its eyes. Has little green juicy juice that
you know how to
melts
protect
people.
yourself, right?
He has
Just shield your eyes.
He has a weakness to shaving cream, though.
Everyone does.
Everyone does. A mouthful of shaving cream.
Nobody likes that.
Nobody.
That's like a microcosm of this entire movie. It's all one giant MacGuffin, where it's like, we just need to advance the plot. Shaving cream, that's cheap.
Yeah.
That's something they would have on hand.
It's probably in the house that they're filming in.
Yeah.
Which they used 3 homes to film this movie. 3 different interiors to make that one log cabin that they were in or whatever. Which is pretty interesting. So, I'm going to help us move as quickly as we can through this synopsis right now. Sure. And just say, all of our friends are getting together. It's spring break. They're high schoolers. They decide to go to Nick's parents' house at the lake.
One of their houses.
One of the houses. Yeah.
You got the nerd guy. You got the foreign exchange student who's dating the nerd trope guy. You got the jock trope guy. You got the very hot blonde trope guy who's dating the jerk guy. And then you have the guy who's seen way too many movies. Then you have the attractive male, kind of like with the Betsy, your standard Mary Sue character, female, who's the heroine. And then you have, the movie guy. I guess the whole movie kind of follows around him, and he's kind of doing fourth wall breaking. I've seen so many horror movies.
In an extremely punchable way.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of the movie, if you're not annoyed by Mike, then, you didn't watch the movie. You really didn't.
So bad.
I didn't mind him until he started being whiny.
See, and because I've seen this now twice, I feel like I already knew. So right off the bat, I was like, shut up, Mike. We get it. You know what you're doing. But for you, totally. Because this was your first view, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hadn't watched it before?
I have not.
I really like to hear that perspective. That's awesome. And then you've seen this a dozen times.
Yeah.
It's your standard Valentine's Day flick with your wife, from what I've heard.
We did watch it on Valentine's Day this time. We hadn't watched it in a few years. I have it on DVD, actually. So, that sort of speaks to how much I like it. But Mike is actually probably the biggest deterrent from watching it. Because he's not just annoying. He's also mean. Like, the things that he says are so sarcastic and demeaning to the people he's talking to.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that at all. He's very demeaning when he talks to everybody.
Every
Everyone.
character is demeaning in this film. They're insulting, except for like the foreign exchange student and the nerd trope guy. Like those two are the sweetest characters. Otherwise, like everybody's being mean to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jock guy's a jerk. Cheerleader chick's prissy and mean. Girlfriend, heroine of the movie, is a bitch.
Yep.
To be all fair.
But I mean, isn't she just being mean to Mike?
Yeah.
Like everybody's being mean to Mike, but nice to each other, and then Mike's being mean to everyone else.
Well, the jock or the douche and his girlfriend, they're both like shitty to each other, and they're just having sex the entire time. That was their purpose.
That's their
Yeah.
relationship.
Every 3 scenes, they were about, oh, you want to do it? Yeah, I want to do it.
No. Let's talk about that for a second. Because she takes a shower and there is no nudity. Until after the shower is done, she's in a towel. He comes in, they're getting ready for dinner.
Right.
And then she goes, want to have sex? And he goes, not right now. We got to go eat. And then she drops the towel and he's like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And then you get her nudity. So, like, that was just a really weird scene for me because I would have assumed if you're going to film a shower scene, it's got to be harder to film a shower scene without nudity than with nudity.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a really awkward scene. Also watching it right here, and my wife was, trying to go to bed or whatever, and I'm sure she was like, what the hell are you watching today, Curtis? I was like, well, that's life.
It's what Nick wanted me to watch.
Nick begged me.
And then she's like, okay, well, I'm forming an idea of what Nick's like.
And here we are today, and she loves you. So they have dinner. It's a nice dinner, right? They're having a nice dinner.
It is a nice dinner.
It's chicken and salad, but I never see the chicken.
No.
All I know is that there's some goop on a frying pan. That's all I know.
And somehow, what was his name? Nick says something about how there's goop on the frying pan or something like that. And then the heroine,
Doreen, I think.
Doreen,
Yeah.
flips out. She thinks that he's insulting her food, and it's like, that's not really, it's not what's happening here. And it's like a script problem almost. Like there was something else going on that was written into it because he had said something else. I don't know.
He never said anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm following you. Like, Nick never tells anyone that his girlfriend made green slimy chicken. He's just like, wow, how'd this green slime get on the pan? Everyone's walking in at the same time, and they're all like, ooh, I don't feel so good. Okay, Doreen, take it out on them. Don't take it out on Nick. He didn't say shit. He was just stating the obvious. Everyone can see that.
I don't know, man, because the entire film, the rest of the film, whenever she's like in the kitchen, they're like, hey, what's for breakfast? I'm not cooking.
Yeah, I know. She took it to heart. They're attacking her.
She got hurt. She got offended, man. And
yeah.
That's actually she needs to speak her truth, but she didn't. She just got passive aggressive with it.
You can cook your own shit.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times in really bad movies, you have this idea that the characters aren't growing or learning throughout the movie. And that's something that happens in this movie, at least in this instance, where something that happened earlier in the movie affects dialogue, not just events, but actually the way that they interact with each other. Which is definitely a point in this movie's plus side, right? Like, the characters do remember things that happened earlier in the movie. Not something you get in a lot of the worst movies that you watch.
Yeah.
Like Septic Man. Don't ever watch that, by the way.
I think we're going to have to.
We may have to, Nick, and you may have to come.
No, I'm not going to see that movie again.
It was, no, at this point, this is where What's-His-Face becomes unlikable.
Okay.
Nick.
Mike.
This is where Mike goes 0 to 100 for you.
Well, he just starts talking about, this is just like a horror movie. It's just like in the movies I've seen. We're out here, we're in the middle of nowhere. He said that before, and then he's like, this green goop's from an alien, and he starts going off the rails.
Well, he gives you two options, creature from the woods or alien. He's just leaving those options open in case you don't know which one to pick. Right. Both of them are scary, and it's definitely not a bear. We know that.
Yeah, the bear joke definitely
that
wears.
was way too much. I'm sorry, I had to put it in there because I feel like that joke was just it it was dry. The delivery from everyone was dry on it.
They were read completely from the script. They did not improvise.
They filmed this, or they ran through all of the lines before they even filmed the movie. They did a whole dry run through of the movie.
Yeah.
Then they went and did the filming. So like yes, they're reading directly from the script, and it shows.
It's just weird that
Rehearsal.
So you guys were able to see the special features?
I was not.
Oh, so one of the special features is behind the scenes and outtakes, and it shows them basically blocking out all of the scenes or some of the scenes and going through their lines. Not in costume or anything like that, but I was really surprised to see that because you watch the movie and it doesn't seem like
they tried.
Yeah,
there was no rehearsing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm sure that there was extra takes and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem like there was like this forethought.
We also have to be fair. Like, none of these actors or actresses are big.
Or actual actors.
They don't go anywhere after this. You look at a lot of their IMDb's and it ends. This is it. This was their movie, you know? And I think it was great for them. I think they did very well in it.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all they got.
It is what it is, right? It was probably fun to do. They probably got paid less than they should have, but more than it was worth.
They deferred all their salary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, until the film actually went out. They didn't want paychecks because they wanted to make the movie. It was a labor of love. Oh. Just like this podcast for Clark and I. Yeah. This is a labor of love.
Wait, I'm not getting paid?
Not yet.
But
okay, he's still here, guys. He didn't run away. That's good. That's
the only guy in here who was actually successful as anything in the business is John Carnhart III, who played
Nick.
Yeah, he played Nick. Also, the Bonnie Bowers looks like she just was essentially did band work.
There's a picture of her in a band.
Yeah. So she worked with the Wailers, Steel Pulse, Teddy Riley, Robbie Shakespeare. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyhow.
So after dinner,
yes,
Janet and David, they go out into the woods. They decide to go take a romantic walk in the woods. And luckily, David has his flashlight, his pen flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we know what happens to them. So David and Janet get attacked by the creature. They go missing for basically the rest of the movie, the entirety of the movie. And we don't know
what happened to them. Like,
we know David gets his leg chomped, so we know the teeth do work, for sure. Janet gets knocked out, but after that, it cuts away. We don't really ever see them again.
Yeah, it's interesting that the monster is sort of attacking them, and then she runs off into the woods and falls down, runs into a tree, I think. And then the monster doesn't find her to do whatever terrible things the monster plans on doing to people.
Yeah.
That we know of. Also,
he only ripped the skirt off of her. He bites the guy's leg off, but for her, all he could do is get her skirt off.
Well, he's
a gentleman.
Yeah. But so we learn later that he has ulterior motives for the women.
Yes.
So he doesn't really try to hurt them, but he does try to hurt the men, whether it's just biting them or melting their faces with monster spit.
Because they're a threat and they're in the way, I would assume.
Yeah, he's procreating.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. So yeah, the alien's main goal here is to procreate, and he is a male. As far as we know, based on what we've learned. And back then, I don't even know if they would have tried to, bend anything like that.
When you're a giant sperm monster, you have no choice but teenagers in the woods. It's just When
you have to have, it needs a female body, maybe because of the reproductive organs.
It's a right when you reach the age of manhood.
Unfortunately, us men, we just don't have those.
Yeah.
So we're safe from being impregnated by an alien creature.
To some degree. Yeah,
but we're dead.
We have seen Alien.
But we'll die too.
Yeah. I think that another movie from a long, long ago was called Breeders, where they followed sort of that same general idea where the aliens or monsters are attempting to impregnate women. But they did it in a far more explicit, over the top sort of way. And I think that movie got a lot of backlash for that. So I can't speak to what Rolf was thinking when he wrote this, but there might be some undercurrents of trying not to push too far in that direction.
I don't know how much marijuana was affecting Rolf's writing decisions, though, back then either.
Or PCP.
Or PCP.
It looks like they're remaking Breeders as an FX TV show. So,
well, that'll be interesting because that movie is definitely not.
Oh, that reminds me. Are you going to shit on From Dusk Till Dawn at the end of this?
it looks like that is just a comedic look at the trials and tribulations of parenthood, though. Maybe they took out the raping.
So maybe that's not a direct sort of.
No, maybe not. Maybe not.
Are you going to poop on From Dusk Till Dawn at the end of this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not
Not worth your time?
The show? No.
Okay.
No, it's not worth it.
Is there a show based on that?
It's on Netflix. If you like Supernatural and if you like Degrassi, it is the show for you.
Degrassi is a high school show, right?
Yeah, it's where Drake got his start.
It's a drama.
Drake is a rapper?
Drake the rapper.
Drake the rapper, yeah, he was in season 1.
He was in season 1.
He was in a wheelchair, right?
Yep, and got shot.
I am not hip to hip things, unfortunately.
It was after it missed my generation.
You know, getting
me too then.
Back on the rails, we get the rape
Yeah,
scene
we're the
in
same
the woods.
Yeah.
The rape scene in the woods happens, and then we go back in, and
Mike gets locked in the basement.
he finds the
I don't know how
two-
far. I don't know how fast we want to fast forward.
Well, the
But
characters are having sex again, and he walks in on them, and he stops the creature, and he's like, "Did you see that?" Now he's the boy who called Wolf because he actually sees it.
so she sees it too.
Yeah,
So she's on her back. Jock Boy's on top.
she got lasered though, didn't she?
She looks over to the left, and there's the creature. Eyes go green. Bing! We see the beam get shot.
Realistic?
Mike walks in though, scares everybody. She's freaking out. The jock thinks he's being a jerk. Fight.
Yeah, hilarious fight.
Not even a fight. It's just Mike running away, and the guy jumping and flying in the air.
Both of them they actually fought. It wasn't stuntmen. It wasn't a double.
Oh, really?
It was both of them, and they filmed the whole thing. They did they wanted to do all of it themselves. So the whole rolling down the thing and almost going down the steps, all live action. It's pretty cool.
That would have been gnarly.
Well, and then he ends up falling down the stairs anyways.
Really,
jock
the
one
actor?
does. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's an idiot. I mean, he's standing on the edge of it, and the cart's there or whatever, and then he goes to mess with the cart, and you just see him fall backwards, and you hear him yell. He goes down the stairs. And then I love Mike's outfit, though. He's got every piece of armor he could find in that bedroom he's wearing. He's got a hockey stick, I think, in one hand.
Yeah.
He's got the catcher's mask on or whatever.
Bright red coat.
Bright red coat.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was good. But yeah, so he gets locked. He gets locked in the. Oh my god, I don't even know what to say right now. That is disgusting. Is that Breeders?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about this movie eventually because that looks rough, man.
For the viewers, we saw a picture of what the Breeders look like. Sorry.
That was
I'm
distracting.
surprised you guys haven't heard of that movie.
Not yet.
There was a fair amount of controversy around the contents of the movie, so...
Is it as bad as Cannibal Holocaust?
No.
Okay.
There are not a lot of movies in history that are as controversial as that movie.
Okay.
I mean, there are some.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. But yeah.
So the fight ensues.
The fight ensues.
Basically, after the fight, everything kind of calms down in a way, and our main heroine Doreen and her boyfriend Nick are done making coitus. So they decide to come downstairs and figure out what the hell's going on because they hear a lot of
Nick
ruckus.
drives off at some point, after this.
That's
right?
after the plumbing, yeah.
That's after the plumbing.
So they lock Mike in the basement, basically saying no, you're crazy. This is all your fault. Whatever. There's no monster. There's no creature. So they lock him in the basement. They all go to bed.
Which is awful. I mean, can we talk for just a second about how would you feel if your friends locked you in a dark basement?
I would do exactly what Mike did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
with the creature. I mean, let's be real. The creature's in there with him. They fight. They scuffle. Creature breaks the pipe. Plumbing gets messed up. Mike luckily escapes. He gets out because he's smart. He knows the rules. He pays attention.
Are you sure he gets out though? Because at this scene, it shows him kind of passing out too. It cuts out, and you're like, oh, so he's gone. I think the monster procreates with Mike. I think Mike gets pregnant.
Well, I mean,
I think he's pregnant too. I think the monster is like, this guy is an alpha male in this group. And
we need a strong alpha male.
it's more like, okay, so my choices are women, men, or dickheads. I'll go with women and dickheads, and then that's how Mike gets impregnated.
Yeah.
Fair choice. Smart alien.
Yeah.
He doesn't say dickheads though, because in alien speak, it's much more fancy.
Right. It's more guttural.
So, anyways, the plumbing breaks. Nick drives off because he's pissed. He's got to go get a plumber now, and he's screaming up to high heaven that Mike's gonna pay for it.
He's also, my wife and I were talking about this a little bit. So Mike leaves right at breakfast. It's a 2-hour drive to town.
Mm-hmm.
And then he returns at like 10 p.m.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
So it's like, what is he doing in town? Well, I'll tell you what he's doing. He's not hanging out with his shitty friends.
He
Right?
decides, screw those guys. I'm going to have a good time in town.
Yep. I'm going to get a pedicure. I'm going to get a haircut. Maybe a massage.
How early do you think those kids woke up?
Well, I was thinking probably around 10-ish, right? Like maybe they got
After
up.
a late party night?
It wasn't that late, though, was it?
I don't know.
Because shit happened, and then people were freaked out. And
Dinner, walks, sex. That's at least 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Well, I mean, even if they went to bed at like 2, they at no point are they really drinking.
No.
So they're
I don't
probably
even know if there's any booze in this movie.
right. So they're waking up around 10-ish. So
they're all responsible teens with just, luckily one of them has enough money to own a house and a cabin in the woods.
yeah, well, I mean, they're responsible in terms of like illicit substances, but maybe not a little of the old in and out.
I mean, we all know the rule. You can't have sex. You have sex, you die. That's the rule.
So we skipped over the punks actually coming in and jumping in the water,
We
by
did.
the way. Which I want to talk about this because there's a scene in the movie where a bunch of punks just like randomly come in. They start let's go skinny dipping. And they all take off their clothes and jump in the water. And one of the kids is like, hey, you're at my dad's house. You need to leave. And they're like, oh, this isn't the camp? And he's like, no, it's up there. And they're like, oh, bye.
And they
Never
all get
see
out
him
of the water.
again.
They never...
They're gone. They're gone. They're safe. They're happy. They're having a great time at the camp.
Best characters in the film. Hands down.
Most likable.
They're much more interesting than the actual cast. I was wondering if one of them was Rolf himself. I was hoping,
Oh, man, I wish we knew.
but I don't really think. I'm looking at IMDb and they don't list everyone's name.
No.
I don't think. Well, maybe they do.
These indie horror films, man. This is actually the sequel to Basket Case. That is the real twin brother of the main character of that film.
Haven't seen it.
Oh,
It's
on
a
our
messed
list.
up movie as well.
Yeah.
oh, well,
It's coming up soon. It's going to, I think, in the next month or so.
It's what Eraserhead's kid grew up into.
maybe the oatmeal baby. Anyhow,
Is there anything else we want to talk about with this movie? I feel like we all just enjoyed it.
We should just jump into the scene where Nick comes back and he's like, I got to deal with my shitty friends.
Okay.
All of his friends are raped. They've all been raped. One of their faces melts. And when he faces off against the monster in the house, and to avoid getting hit, he jumps and he grabs the boom mic and he flips out the window.
Yeah.
Probably the most laugh out loud scene I had during the entire movie, next to when he throws the cat at the creature.
Yeah.
He throws the cat at the creature, and then all I'm thinking in my head is, wrong pussy, dude. Like, the whole time. I don't know why. There's just, because the creature's trying to go after the females, and in my mind, I go, wrong pussy. Like,
Maybe he already impregnated the cat, man.
maybe. I don't know.
He doesn't judge.
Oh, but those were my two favorite, like, laugh out loud moments. I was busting a gut.
Mm.
There's some pretty interesting ones. Interesting lines. I can't remember them, but
Great, this thing's going to have itself an orgy. When the girls go to try and rescue Janet,
right.
Mike's like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. They go anyways.
None of the females die except for the blonde girl who gets decapitated.
Janet.
Yeah, that was just kind of random though, because she's mind controlled because she got lasered.
Oh, no, sorry, not the blonde. Janet,
She's a foreign
the foreign
exchange
exchange chick, she gets her head smashed, and then her neck's like broken over the couch.
Oh, right. But that, yeah.
I can only expect she's dead.
I think that everyone dies except for Nick, Mike,
And Doreen.
and even the plumber dies.
And the lady and the girl in the very beginning. Oh, that poor plumber.
Well, the girl at the very beginning, you're talking about the dream sequence.
Yeah, the dream sequence girl.
So
she's
she
still,
comes back because she's the hitchhiker that they pick up.
Yeah, she's still alive. And you explain the end.
The end of the movie?
Somebody.
They drive off.
Should we go?
They kick her out.
Yeah, I mean, they notice her eye color is green,
Mm-hmm.
which is also the color when the creature zaps you.
Mm-hmm.
And they start to get paranoid, and they finally decide to listen to Mike, and they kick her out of the car, and they drive off.
And I think it's a natural. I don't know what the quality of the copy that you guys had was, but on my DVD, it's actually kind of a nice shot at the very end because they've kicked her out. There's terrible lighting, and the van drives off into the distance, but her, like, that woman is actually really bright, like white against almost pure black. And it shows her just like, what? You guys just drove away. And it's like a really nice composition in the lower right-hand corner. You just have this woman like...
What the fuck? The one time they listen to Mike, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Are they?
But I don't know, man. This movie did not take itself seriously. They had
didn't
fun.
answer any questions that you might have. So
No.
it's for you to believe. It's whatever you want, man.
I wanted to know if the plumber had a family.
Yeah.
He did. 3 kids, 2 boys, 1 girl.
Tragic.
7, 8, and 9.
So
They're in their prime.
all right, yeah.
Yeah. I also do know that the scene with the boom mic is my favorite boom mic moment in any movie. And you may think that's like a really random thing, but when I watched House on Haunted Hill,
The original or the remake?
the remake.
Okay.
So I saw the remake in the theater, and it's not a great movie, right? It's 99 was when it was done.
Is
And
Tony Shalhoub in that, or it's one of the guys from SNL?
Tony Shalhoub is in 13 Ghosts, I think,
Right.
which is another one of my favorites. But the House on Haunted Hill, in one of the scenes, there's a boom mic that drops into the frame, or at least there was in the theatrical release, because I remember seeing it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I bought the DVD later,
They fixed it.
it wasn't there anymore. And to this day, every time I think about a boom mic, that's the first thing I think about, is how those dirty bastards stole that goof from me.
Dang it. But your favorite is still There's Nothing Out There.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's my favorite bad movie?
Maybe we should do a top 5 favorite boom mic scenes in films.
There's that really great one in Kentucky Fried Movie.
Kentucky Fried Movie.
Have you guys seen that?
I think I have. That's the one with. Is it Kenan Thompson?
Mm-mm.
Is he not in it? Okay.
So it's by the guys that made Airplane, but before they did Airplane, and there were no rules. It's like clearly very much a hard R.
Okay.
And at one point, there's a boom mic, and it's just like slapping people in the face and going like from person to person, just slapping them, and yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
You guys should watch that.
I'm going to I think the first thing I'm going to do personally is go down the list of boom mic things in film,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then I'll wrap back around and watch the full movies that have those references, starting with There's Nothing Out There.
Yeah.
Because I personally, one of the big reasons why I like this movie so much, you talked about it at the very beginning, is my favorite, hands down, all-time favorite horror movie is Scream.
Oh, cool.
Growing up as a kid, walking the aisles of the VHS store, I remember that cover vividly scaring the shit out of me, to the point where I watched it so much I wasn't scared of it anymore. And in fact, after Halloween, had my costume of Ghostface and my parents' old VHS tape recorder, and we'd go around the neighborhood filming our own Scream movie.
And you played Nev Campbell.
I was Ghostface.
I
That would have been my second choice.
Yes.
I thought Nev Campbell too.
I didn't have the hair for it. But no, like that was my first love. That was for horror. And so this movie really makes me, I don't know, it just kind of takes me back and go like, this could have been that. This could have been #1, but it missed the boat. It was too early for when it came out. And then Wes Craven, obviously, the genius that he was,
Mm-hmm.
capitalized, I think, on the meta horror idea and just launched that as a new thing and made it something even better.
It makes you kind of wonder if, I'm not saying that Wes Craven had seen There's Nothing.
Why not?
Maybe he did. There was the only really tie-in that I could really make between the two movies is just you have the one character who's like, oh, this is like a horror movie. One was a bit too hard on it. The other one was kind of likable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you go from There's Nothing Out There, and then you go to Scream, and then many years later you get to The Cabin in the Woods.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this very rare but mostly very cool string of movies that are meta horror movies, right? And I think that maybe having more of those would diminish their impact.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, it's such a cool concept that you kind of want to see more of it more often.
Because I can think of movies that attempt it and fail miserably.
The closest thing otherwise I can think of are the parody movies, like the Scary Movie films. But
those to me are
Some-
like the next level of that even.
Yeah,
I would
they're
say
further down
that.
the spectrum.
I would even, for sure. Some of them are great. Some of them aren't as great.
Which Halloween is it with Busta Rhymes? Is that H2O? Where they're basically filming inside of a haunted house, and it's a show, and the kids are supposed to survive there for the night or whatever, and then throughout it, he's playing pranks on them. But at the same time, Michael Myers is actually back and is pranking them. And he's killing the kids or whatever.
That's the sequel to H2O, I think, isn't
So
it?
Resurrection?
I think so.
So like that's one that I think of when I think of a bad meta horror. Like you're in a horror movie, horrific things have happened in that home,
Right.
yet you still chose to try to make this film enjoyable, and it missed the mark. I think that's one where like they had a really solid opportunity there with a big name slasher, and just they messed up. They missed it.
Yeah. I don't know that much about Halloween movies from Halloween 3 to the most recent remake or reboot, or actually it's a sequel.
Sequel, reboot,
Yeah.
all the things.
A lot of those that were really important to me when I was a kid, I couldn't get into after a certain age, right? Because I had seen like Aliens and Alien, obviously, and Halloween. They took these things that I loved and they just drove them into the ground.
Yeah.
And like I love Friday the 13th, but part of the reason Friday the 13th sequels work for me is because Friday the 13th originally was not that great. I mean, it was great, but it was like more lowbrow than Halloween or Alien, right? So those sort of not too successful sequels in that period of time, I couldn't be bothered. So
Halloween 3 is completely different from the other Halloween films.
it's my wife's favorite of all of them.
Yeah, it's the most unique. I would
Yeah.
say that.
I thoroughly enjoy that film.
I love
I
it
watch
too.
it every Halloween.
We have an episode on that.
We do.
Yeah, it's great.
The other thing about these franchises, though, is it was a race for every single one of these studios. Whether it was, John Carpenter's Halloween that got taken over by the studio after it had such a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Craven's Freddy Krueger franchise that was literally New Line Cinema trying to just finally build their damn studio and get it out of the back of a guy's trunk.
Mm-hmm.
To Paramount Pictures or Universal wanting their own slasher to rival the Michael Myers run. I've watched a lot of documentaries in the past month on Jason and the Friday the 13th series, including the TV show, and A Nightmare on Elm Street, including their TV show run that they had. And they all seem to have their own excuse as to why they beat these franchises into the ground so hard. And none of them are justifiable, in my opinion.
It's just money.
It's just money. Yeah.
The thing for me about movies a lot of times is like I hear that Marvel movies are considered soulless, and a lot of those sequels are considered soulless. But I think that at a high level that might be true.
To a lesser degree, I would say, than things that Warner Brothers has released in the past, like the DC universe. That is as soulless as you can get.
But I guess my take on it is, at a high level, they are soulless. They're money grabs or whatever. But you also have dozens, hundreds, even thousands of people that are working on it that are pouring their heart and soul into this character that they're designing, or the lighting that they're adding. They're practicing their craft in a way that is anything but soulless, right?
They made sure it was a quality project or product by the end, which is something you can really respect.
Right. And I think looking at it on the craftsman level versus sort of the business side of it, there's definitely two sides to the term soulless, right?
So it's I'm finding this very ironic that we're talking about money and soulless top dog type people, because we just watched and talked about They Live last week,
right,
on our episode. And I kind of went on a rant about how the rich stay rich and just do whatever they want with their money to make
the rich
more money,
get richer based just by having money.
Yeah, and the poor people down below who may be pouring their hearts and souls into something can get, unfortunately, called soulless, or their work can be written off as just, you're just trying to get money, when no, like, the dude who wrote maybe Thor Dark World or whatever was like, he was really, really wanting to make that movie and wanted to make it as good as he could, but because of the way it's presented or marketed or how fast they're churning them out, it feels way more soulless than it really is.
Yeah, and I think that it's also about relativity, right? Like, people say that Thor Dark World is the worst Marvel movie, but the worst Marvel movie is still tons better than a bad movie.
It's Ghost Rider, actually, but
Ghost Rider is tragedy, because when I grew up, my two favorite comic book characters were Iron Fist and Ghost Rider.
Right. And
I was so excited. Oh man, they're going to make
Johnny Blaze.
Yeah. And Danny Ketch, he was my favorite. But they're going to make some Ghost Rider movies. They're going to be awesome, and it's going to make me so happy. And oh my god, it's Nicolas fucking Cage. Oh, can I swear on this?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. And then
you don't like my movies, Nick.
And then later it's like, oh, so Ghost Rider was terrible, but now they're making Iron Fist as a TV. Oh my god, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then just like that, my childhood
and that
died.
got canceled as well.
Well, Disney and
hopefully it
Netflix.
gets moved, but yeah. Netflix.
I am excited about Shang-Chi that's coming out.
Ooh.
The Marvel movie.
This is a great segue.
It's the Asian lead.
I had some of his comics when I was a kid
too.
This
is a great segue to what are you up to lately? What are you doing? What do you want to plug?
I don't know if I really want to plug anything so much. I would like to say that, I mean, since we're on the topic, that kung fu movies are my favorite genre, even more so than horror.
Would you say Kung Fu Hustle is one of the greatest films ever made then?
I'm actually less about the slapsticky kind. I still like it. I still like Shaolin Soccer, but I'm talking about fantastic movies like The Kid with the Golden Arm and Iron Monkey.
Is Ip Man one of the...
Ip Man is good. It's the more modern one. I like the really...
So I watched, this was a while back, I was going through Netflix and just watching random stuff. And it was Drunken Master.
Drunken Master and Drunken Master 2.
Jackie Chan.
Yes. Where he's not, his mom's like yelling at him the whole film, telling him not to drink. But when he drinks, he's such a great fighter. Mm-hmm. So then, like, there's this constant ebb and flow battle.
Yeah.
Not to totally hijack your kung fu talk.
I love those movies.
I like, yeah.
2 is better than 1, actually, but I like 1 better.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm super into that kind of stuff, or I used to be. So
sweet.
Yeah. So if you guys ever want to do a step away on kung fu movies,
there's a kung fu horror that might work.
Oh my god! If we could find a kung fu horror,
there are.
That would be friggin' hilarious.
There you go. We could. Yeah, there probably are actually. Yeah.
Not very scary, I would say, but lots of vampire ones, things like that. So
Chinese jumping vampires, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate your time. I know you're not in town all the time, so we definitely wanted to do it when you were physically here.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
You could kind of hang out with us and hang out in my master bedroom.
This does seem masterful.
It
this
does.
bedroom.
Very
How's the lighting?
lavish.
Lighting's good? Huh?
Oh, I look very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the light.
Yeah, anytime I'm in town, we should totally do another one.
Sweet.
I sent you guys a list of like 12 different movies that I thought we could talk about.
Yeah.
So,
All Nick backlogs.
yeah,
All Nick. Claimed by Nick.
but not Septic Man. No, seriously, I've never seen
You
that.
put it on the
movie yet.
list.
You
It's
did
your
put it
fault.
on the list.
Man,
It happens. It happens.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about that. I don't even know if I want to watch it. I'm starting to like not want to watch certain horror movies, and when you're like, oh, this one is on par with Infinite Santa 9000, I'm like,
Have you seen that?
I have not.
Okay, don't
it's
ever
on
watch
YouTube. It's 50 minutes. It's a waste of
it.
your
It feels
time.
like 4 fucking hours. Don't watch it.
It's a Flash cartoon made by. It feels like it was made by a 12-year-old, and it's like he picked up action figures and just went for like an hour and a half.
So, is that worse than a movie that's full length that is about a man who lives in a septic tank and all of the things that you would imagine? He completely shit covered the entire time and eventually becomes.
Does he
that-
kill anybody?
Well, I mean, it's a horror movie,
Are
right?
there other characters?
I'm not going to give it all away, but
Because my thing is, yes, I'm leaning towards that Septic Tank Man movie will be better than Infinite Santa 8000 or whatever it's called.
I think so. I think it
This
would
is
be.
probably our
I don't
worst
know.
movie.
I don't know. It's one of
Yeah.
the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It
Ever.
drained the life out of me watching it. I watched it at 1.5 speed and then 2 times speed, and I still was struggling.
It was rough, man. It was rough.
all right.
Anything you want to plug this week, Clark?
You know what? I would like to plug our Instagram and our Twitter accounts.
Do it.
The number 2 guys and some horror. 2 guys horror pod. Sorry, that's
Number
the
two
number
guys?
2 guys horror
the
pod.
number 2.
Yeah, 2 as in the number 2 guys
I
horror
always thought
pod.
this was a shitty podcast.
Yeah, if you also have any feedback for us, feel free to email us at 2 guys and some horror, and that's the word 2 guys and some horror at gmail.com.
Did you say
Otherwise,
handsome horror?
and some horror, but you know what? You bring the handsome, Nick. We
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
that.
It's the lighting, really.
Thank you guys all for hanging out with me. And yeah, we're going to do this again real soon.
You guys are both horror angels.
Oh, horror angels.
Glad I added the extra emphasis on Aurora.
Aurora. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
How badly do you want to punch Mike? Like every minute of the movie,
Yeah.
right? Those 3 levels, that's the movie in a
That's-
nutshell.